Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Anisha Jain and with me is Nigel D'Souza. So Nigel, it was a Friday and we were thinking we'll go home early and probably enjoy the weekend. But looks like that the market is really volatile again. It started off with a red tick and now as well we are seeing that there was a tad bit of a down tick in the last few minutes, but there has been a slight bit of recovery as well.
Well, that's right, Anisha. Looking forward to the weekend.
Absolutely.
I mean, who's not looking forward to that? It's going to be, we have the test cricket as well in terms of the pink ball. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So I decided to wear the pink shirt as well. But in terms of the markets, you've seen a bit of a recovery actually from the low point. Select stocks, they are seeing some buying. So Zee Entertainment, one would argue, so what if, there is going to be a re-rating on the stock? Well, the street tells you the picture. For the second day running, you're seeing the stock hold well in the green, when otherwise, in fact, the Nifty is down close to around 65 points. That's telling you that this was a big event yesterday that took place with, the erstwhile promoter going out of the way. In terms of the options data, Anisha, is looking quite interesting. And for the last many days, we have been talking about this point that the 11,800, 11,850, that's the level from where you're likely to see buying. And around 12,050 is from where we have been seeing selling. Now, in a downtrending market today, the 12,000 call, that's very, very active. Close to around 21 lakh shares have got added out there. But what's interesting now is that the 11,900 call and the 11,900 put, both those two are very active. So there is writing at around the 11,900 call. That open interest build-up has taken place, particularly in the last 1 hour or so. So that's, giving you a sense that the bears believe they can defend this 12,000 mark. But on the flip side, the 11,900 call, well, out there, in fact, the put, the 11,900 put should come up for you on the screen. The premium out there, that's been holding up at around the 60-70 rupees approximately. That's giving you a sense that a move towards 11,820 odd, that's likely to see some buying, and that really coincides with the 20 DMA. So we'll keep an eye out on that mark as well.
Okay, so interesting trend coming in from the option space as well as the derivative space. But if you look at some of the stocks, they are actually inching higher in the last few minutes. From the oil and gas space, IOC as well as ONGC are the two stocks that have suddenly spiked. And the heavyweight HDFC is also doing a tad bit better. So we'll track all that and more later on the show. But first up, let's start with the top headlines. Market off the day's low, but the Sensex and the Nifty trade 0.5% lower each, dragged by IT heavyweights, Infosys and TCS, as well as the private banks like HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank. Midcaps fall in line.
And telecom stocks, they're in focus yet again. This after, in fact, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that Bharti and Vodafone Idea may file a review application for the AGR judgment today. At 4 p.m., telcos may seek review of the interest and penalty payments and also relaxation of the 3-month timeline for the payment of dues.
IT stocks under pressure, Infosys among top Nifty losers after the Trump administration looks to tighten visa norms as part of its fall agenda. US Department of Homeland Security proposes to revise the definition of specialty occupation under which H-1B and L-1 visas are granted.
And Zee Entertainment gains. The overhang on the stocks gets lifted after the big global investors like BlackRock, Government of Singapore, Fidelity, and big SBI mutual fund, Nippon India, buy into the company.
And the Reserve Bank sets up a 3-member panel to assist the DHFL administrator. Rajiv Lal of IDFC First Bank, NS Kannan of ICICI Prudential, and Amphi CEO NS Venkatesh are the members of the advisory panel.
Well, you had select Asian markets that ended lower in today's trading session. You had the Shanghai that ended lower. But in terms of the European markets, yesterday those markets were under some pressure because the trade war uncertainty came back on the table. So on the back of that, you had some auto stocks that did see selling. In fact, this week hasn't been very, very great in terms of the news flow coming in from auto names. In Europe particularly, they're talking about cutting down on jobs. They're talking about cutting down on costs because the environment is not really favorable. But today, well, there is some green. After ending in the red yesterday, you have some of those markets that are pulled back. The FTSE, in fact, is up close to around 0.4%. So Europe is lending some support, Anisha. It'll be interesting to see whether or not the bulls will want to go home, trying to pull back from these lows of around 11,900 odd.
Okay, but let's get back and talk about our own markets because you have been telling us that the technical factors look very interesting. So let's welcome in Himeen Kaparia of KR Choksey Securities for a technical check on the market. Himeen, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, how does the market look to you? What are the key levels that you're watching out for?
Very good afternoon to you. I think as far as the Nifty spot is concerned, you have support coming in at 11,880, 11,820. resistance comes in at 11,941 and 11,990. Like Nigel mentioned here, the increase in the open interest seems to suggest that there is a close move going on, but we've been in a range for the last 16 or 17 trading sessions between 12,040 and 11,800. Now that has still not changed. So we've seen alternate bouts of buying and selling, but we haven't seen a decisive breakout as of now. Currently, there's a small negative bias, but that's about it. But interestingly enough, up till now, the Bank Nifty was outperforming and looking good. First time in probably 2-3 weeks time, the Bank Nifty is looking a bit iffy and heavy.
Okay, all right. Then what about stocks, Himen? You have a couple of stock picks for us?
Yes, Nigel, absolutely. Firstly, I have a buy on Cummins. Oversold, relative strength. The weekly mechanical indicators are positive. Stock looks set for a medium to longer term recovery. But obviously, there's a shorter term call. Buy on Cummins at 566, stop loss 561, target 576. Secondly, a sell on Bajaj Finserv. It's had a brilliant run up. It's tired. It's overbought, and we've slipped into a corrective phase. And this corrective phase looks like getting more acute, but it's a conditional call. It slipped a bit. So sell in Bajaj Finserv at 9040, stop loss 9090, target 8940. And lastly, a sell call on ICICI Bank. The move seems to have exhausted itself. The stock is on the verge of giving a downward breakout by breaking a demand line which has supported this entire move for the last few weeks. So sell in ICICI Bank on a small bounce at 499, stop loss 507, target 483. Nice.
Okay, all right, Himen, you said that Bajaj Finserv may be a little bit tired, but what's not really tired is the Royal Enfield. It's thumping along. For this week itself, it's up close to around 5%. And I was looking at the charts. In the last 3 months or so, the stock has recovered from around the 15,500 odd levels. But Eicher Motors has done well. So let's pull up the intraday chart. When the markets are at the low point of the day, this stock is moving to the high point of the day. Does it have more in it to thump ahead, Himen? What do you see on the charts?
I think so. We were in a small range between 21,000 and 22,000 for the last 14 trading sessions, Nigel. Today, we've broken through above that with decent volume. I'm talking about cash market. And we remain in an intermediate uptrend. So, yes, first positive is we close about 22,000. Indicators are turning positive. We are heading towards 23. And I suspect a close about 23 could mean another 800 to 1,000 points on the upside. So, coming back to your main question, yes, looks good. Is breaking out further upside, seems like a possibility, outperformance. Yeah.
Okay, Main, thank you so much for joining us with all those strategies. We'll let you go on that note. But with that, we slip into a very short break. The CSB Bank IPO has opened today. Kajal Gandhi of ICICI Direct will join us on the other side to discuss whether the investors should subscribe or avoid.